Welcome, dreamers, to a place where rain holds stories and time slows to a whisper. Tonight, let your mind unwind as we step into a hidden library, guarded by storms and secrets. First, take a deep breath with me. Breathe in and out. Let your shoulders soften, your eyelids grow heavy. The rain is here to carry you, and my voice will guide you gently. If this is your first time here, you're safe. This is a place for rest. If you're returning, welcome back. Before we begin, if this journey brings you peace, please consider liking this video or subscribing to the channel. Your support helps others find their way here too. Now, let the sound of the rain fill the spaces between your thoughts. Tonight's story begins in a tower older than time itself, a tower where every raindrop is a story waiting to be heard. The path to the library is steep, but you don't mind. The rain has washed away your hurry. Each step is slower, softer. Moss cushions your feet, and the air smells of cedar and damp earth. Ahead, a stone tower rises, its windows glowing like fireflies. This is the Library of Raindrops. The door creaks open, and inside, shelves stretch endlessly, lined with glass jars. Each jar holds a single raindrop, and inside every drop, a story. The librarian, an old woman with hair like storm clouds, smiles. "Choose one," she says, "but choose with your heart, not your eyes." Your hand hovers, and a jar hums warmly. You lift it. The raindrop inside swirls like liquid silver. "Ah," says the librarian, "that one holds a story from a seaside village, where the waves and rain sing the same song." You sit by the hearth, and as the fire crackles, the raindrop begins to glow. The story unfolds. It's dawn in the village. Fishermen mend their nets under gray skies, their hands rough but gentle. A child runs through the streets laughing as rain soaks her hair. She stops at a bakery where the baker hands her a warm roll. "For courage," he says. The smell of yeast and salt fills the air. The raindrop shimmers and the scene changes. Now it's midnight. The village sleeps, but the rain doesn't. It taps on roofs and drips from gutters, weaving a lullaby for the dreaming. A sailor's wife hums along as she rocks her baby. A cat curls in a windowsill. The librarian whispers, "Every storm is a library, every drop a memory." You lean back, the heat of the fire on your skin, the rain outside steady and endless. Another jar catches your eye. This one glows pale blue. "That one," says the librarian, "fell in a forest where the trees dream aloud." You open it, and suddenly you're standing in a pine grove. The rain here smells like frost and forgotten paths. A deer steps into the clearing. Its coat glistens and it doesn't fear you. You follow it to a stream where the water chatters over stones. The deer bows its head, drinks, and you realize the stream is made of 1,000 raindrops, each whispering secrets. "Rest here," the forest seems to say, and you do. The librarian's voice brings you back. "Time moves differently here," she says. "But don't worry, you can stay as long as you need." She places a blanket over your shoulders, its fabric soft as dandelion fluff. "Sleep," she says. "The rain will keep your stories safe." You lean into the warmth, the sound of the storm fading to a murmur. And as the librarian's tower disappears into the mist, let your thoughts drift. There's no need to hold on to anything here, just the rain and the quiet. The rain is gentle tonight, a soft rhythm against the windows of the hidden library. It is always raining here, but never in a way that chills the bones. only in a way that hushes the world into quiet wonder. The librarian waits, her eyes glimmering like the reflections of storms in distant seas. "You have time for one more," she says, "perhaps two." You glance at the endless rows of shelves, each lined with glass jars, each holding a single raindrop, a single story. Your fingers trail along their surfaces until you feel warmth, a jar that hums as if it recognizes you. Its glow is soft, silver blue, like the edge of twilight. You lift the jar, cradling it in your hands. The librarian nods. "Ah, that one," she murmurs. "It belongs to a city where lanterns never go out, where the rain whispers secrets between the cobblestone streets." She gestures toward a chair by the fire, and as you sit, you carefully uncork the jar. And then, the raindrop releases its memory. The world around you shifts, and you find yourself standing in the heart of an ancient city. The streets are paved with worn stones, slick from the drizzle that never ceases. Golden lanterns sway above, their light reflecting on the damp ground, creating a dreamscape of moving shadows. The scent of rain and old parchment fills the air as you wander past towering buildings, their rooftops lost in mist. Somewhere in the distance, a bell chimes, a deep, resonant sound marking time in a city that never truly sleeps. You hear the quiet murmur of voices, a storyteller beneath an arched bridge. A small crowd gathers, huddled beneath umbrellas, listening to his tale. "They say," he whispers, "that the rain here is not ordinary water. It carries the voices of those who once walked these streets, their laughter and dreams lingering in every droplet." You pause, tilting your head, and for a moment, you swear you hear it. A soft echo in the rain, laughter from another time. A vendor nearby offers you a warm cup of spiced tea, the steam curling into the cool night air. As you sip, the librarian's voice echoes in your mind. "Every raindrop is a story. Some are waiting to be heard." And so, you listen. The rain intensifies, drumming softly against rooftops, and just as the city begins to fade, another jar in the library calls to you. Back in the library, the fire crackles, the warmth still lingering on your skin. The librarian smiles as she hands you another jar, this one a deep shade of emerald, flecked with tiny golden sparks. As soon as you open it, the scent of damp earth and blooming jasmine surrounds you. And suddenly, you are standing in a floating garden, suspended over a vast, misty lake. Stone pathways wind between lush greenery, and vines hang in soft arcs, dripping with raindrops that glow faintly. Lily pads as large as tables drift below, their surfaces shimmering as the rain kisses them. You take a step forward, your footsteps silent on the moss-covered stones. The garden is alive with quiet sounds, the rustling of leaves, the distant call of an unseen bird, the whisper of the rain as it trickles down petals. A small wooden bridge stretches over a silver stream, its waters running smooth and silent. As you cross, you notice something unusual. Your reflection isn't quite your own. It shifts, changes. showing glimpses of memories you've never lived, places you've never seen. The stream is made of stories. Each droplet that flows through it carries a dream, a wish, a moment in time. You kneel beside it, watching as the water swirls. A voice, barely more than a whisper, reaches your ears. Remember, even the smallest drop can hold an ocean of memories. And just as you begin to reach out, a distant chime pulls you back. The library's fire flickers, and the librarian watches you with knowing eyes. She gestures toward one final jar, one that hums with the sound of a lullaby. As you open it, the world shifts again. You are standing on the balcony of a quiet house, nestled deep in the valley. The rain here is soft, almost like a song, tapping gently against the wooden railing. Beyond the misty hills, fireflies dance, their golden lights flickering in the rain-washed air. Somewhere, an old musician plays a tune on a weathered violin, his melody carried by the wind. The notes blend with the rhythm of the rain, becoming one with the storm. You breathe deeply. The scent of rain-soaked lavender and warm earth fills your lungs. There is nothing here but peace. Nothing but the rain, the music, and the steady heartbeat of the world itself. And just as your eyelids grow heavy, just as the story begins to settle, the librarian's voice returns, soft as a whisper. Rest, dreamer. The rain will always be here when you are ready for another story. The rain continues its gentle song, a quiet rhythm that wraps around you like a familiar embrace. Somewhere beyond the mist, dawn stirs. But here, in the library of raindrops, time remains soft, fluid, unhurried. The fire crackles, sending golden shadows dancing across the endless shelves. The librarian watches you with eyes like gathering storm clouds, ancient and knowing. There is always another story, she murmurs, her voice barely more than a breath. Are you ready? You nod, and she gestures toward the shelves. Among the hundreds of glass jars, one glows faintly, a soft violet hue, pulsing like the heartbeat of a sleeping dream. Your fingertips brush against it, and warmth spreads through your palm. The librarian gives a slow nod. This one, she says, belongs to the rain that fell in the city of echoing bells, where time is a circle, and every chime is a memory returning home. You uncork the jar, and the raindrop releases its story. The air is thick with mist and the scent of old stone. You stand in the center of a vast courtyard, surrounded by towering spires that vanish into the clouds. Ornate bronze bells hang from each tower, their surfaces etched with stories in languages long forgotten. The rain is falling steadily, each drop ringing softly as it lands, on rooftops, on windowsills, on the petals of wildflowers creeping through the cracks in the cobblestone streets. Somewhere in the distance, a bell chimes. The sound rolls through the city like a wave, awakening a chorus of echoes. A woman in a cloak of deep blue stands nearby, holding a small silver bell in her hands. She watches you with quiet curiosity. "You've come to listen," she says, her voice carrying the weight of 1,000 forgotten tales. "This city is a place of remembering. Every raindrop that falls here carries the memory of something lost, something waiting to be found." She lifts the bell and rings it once. And suddenly, the streets are alive with voices, laughter, whispers, songs from centuries past. The rain carries them all, weaving them into the air. A child's voice drifts through the mist, reciting a lullaby. An old man hums as he repairs a clock. A young woman murmurs a promise, her words lost to the storm. Each sound lingers for a moment, then fades, blending into the endless symphony of rain and bells. The woman watches you, her expression unreadable. "If you listen closely," she says, "you might hear something meant just for you." You close your eyes, and in the hush between the chimes, a voice whispers your name. Then, the city dissolves into mist. The library's fire flickers as you return, the warmth lingering on your skin. The librarian smiles, placing another jar in your hands. This one is golden, filled with raindrops that swirl like liquid sunlight. "This one," she murmurs, "fell in a marketplace where the rain sings between silk and spices." The moment you open the jar, the scent of saffron and cinnamon fills the air. And suddenly, you are standing beneath a canopy of woven tapestries, the fabric glistening with rain. The marketplace is alive with color, stalls overflowing with bright fruits, merchants calling out their wares, the soft trill of flutes in the distance. The rain falls in gentle threads, beading on embroidered scarves and pooling in the petals of lotus flowers floating in shallow bowls. A merchant offers you a cup of something warm, steamed milk infused with cardamom and honey. As you sip, the flavors bloom on your tongue, rich and soothing. "The rain here is special," the merchant says, gesturing toward the silver gutters that line the marketplace. "It carries dreams. If you catch a drop on your tongue, you might taste a story from another time." A single raindrop lands on your lips, cool and weightless. And for a fleeting moment, you see a vision. A dancer spinning beneath lanterns, her feet light as the wind. A sailor tracing the name of a lost love in the condensation on a window. An elder closing their eyes, listening to the hush of rain with a smile. Each memory flickers before you like firelight, brief, beautiful, vanishing into the storm. And then, the marketplace fades. Back in the library, the fire has burned low, casting long shadows against the walls. The librarian hands you one last jar, this one nearly transparent, as if filled with mist itself. "This rain," she says softly, "fell on a clock that counts on time in raindrops, where past and future are only echoes of the same moment." As you open the jar, the air around you shifts, You are standing in a circular chamber lined with gears of silver and brass. At the center, a vast glass dome stretches overhead, revealing the storm outside. The rain falls in slow, deliberate drops, each one striking the surface of an enormous timepiece. With each droplet, the hands of the clock move. Backward, then forward, then still. A hooded figure stands beside it, watching the mechanism with quiet reverence. Time is not what we believe it to be, they say, their voice like the hush of wind through ancient trees. Each raindrop that falls here is a moment, a memory, a choice. Some return. Some are lost forever. They gesture toward the clock face. In its reflection, you see yourself, not as you are, but as you were once, and as you might be one day. The rain slows. The gears turn. The figure's voice is barely above a whisper. Which moment do you carry with you? As you reach out, the world around you begins to blur. And then, the library returns. The rain outside is steady, endless, soft. The librarian watches you with knowing eyes. There's always another story, she says. But for now, rest. The fire crackles, the rain hums, and the library waits. The rain never rushes. It falls in its own time, whispering to the earth, the trees, and to you. Here, within the library of raindrops, stories drift like mist, waiting to be found. The fire in the hearth flickers gently, casting golden light over the endless shelves. The librarian watches you, her expression unreadable but kind. You are still listening, she murmurs. Good. There is one more jar waiting for you tonight. She gestures toward a high shelf where a single jar gleams like polished obsidian. Dark as a storm cloud, its surface swirls with something deeper than rain, something older. This, the librarian says, is the rain that fell on the bridge of forgotten names, where the river carries memories that refuse to fade. Your fingers close around the jar. It is cool to the touch, and for a moment you hesitate. Then you open it. A damp breeze lifts your hair as you step onto ancient stone. The bridge stretches over a river black as ink, its surface rippling under the steady patter of rain. The sky above is a restless sea of shifting clouds, where glimpses of silver moonlight slip through like fleeting thoughts. Small lanterns hang from the bridge's railings, their soft glow illuminating names carved into the stone. Hundreds, thousands, some fresh, others worn by time and weather. A woman stands at the center of the bridge, a hood drawn over her face. In one hand, she holds a slip of parchment. In the other, a single raindrop, cradled carefully in her palm. She turns as you approach, her voice barely above a whisper. This bridge remembers, she says. Every raindrop that falls here carries a name once spoken, now lost to the wind. Some find their way back, others fade. she holds out the raindrop. Would you like to hear one? You nod. She lifts the droplet to her lips and breathes a name into it. At once, the river below stirs. A shimmer ripples across its surface, and suddenly, you are no longer standing on the bridge. You are inside the memory. A candle flickers in a small attic room. Rain streaks the window, and outside, the city murmurs in the hush of midnight. A violin leans against a wooden chair, its strings glistening faintly in the dim light. The musician sits at the edge of his bed, fingers tracing the carved initials on the instrument's body. His breath is slow, steady, but his eyes hold the weight of something unsaid. Then, with a sigh, he lifts the violin and draws the bow across the strings. The sound is soft at first, like a whisper carried by the rain. Then it grows, a melody full of longing, of something half-remembered. The music drifts through the open window, mingling with the storm outside. Below, in the streets, a passer-by stops. Then another. The song is familiar. A mother hushes her child, listening. An old man lifts his head, eyes closing as if recalling something distant. A young girl hums along, though she does not know why. For a moment, the city is still. The rain listens. And then, the melody fades. The musician lowers his violin, exhaling softly. He does not know that for years to come, strangers will whistle that tune in the marketplace, that children will hum it without knowing where they heard it first. The bridge remembers. And so does the rain. The memory dissolves, and you are standing once more on the bridge. The woman lowers her hands, her eyes thoughtful. Some names find their way back into the world, she says. Some become echoes, carried by music, by wind, by rain. She steps aside, revealing the river below. If you listen, you might hear your own story in the current. You kneel, gazing into the water. For a moment, it is just a river, dark and endless. But then, a ripple. A flicker of light beneath the surface. And suddenly, you see a child's laughter in a field of wildflowers, a pair of hands tracing the cover of a well-worn book, a candlelit room where someone waits, watching the rain. These are not just memories. They are moments. Yours. The river does not steal them. It simply holds them, keeps them safe, until they are ready to return. You stand slowly, the night air cool against your skin. The woman watches you, then nods. Not all things are lost forever, she says. Some only need time. The rain softens, the bridge fades, and you are home. Return to the library. The fire has burned low, its embers glowing like distant stars. The librarian is silent, watching you as you set the empty jar upon the table. You understand now, she murmurs. Her voice is not a question. Outside, the rain continues, soft, steady, infinite. The librarian stands, retrieving a thick woolen shawl from a nearby chair. She drapes it over your shoulders, her touch light as falling mist. Rest, she says. There will always be another story. But for now, let the rain hold this one for you. You lean back, the warmth of the fire lulling you into stillness. The steady hush of raindrops fills the space between your thoughts. And slowly, gently, you drift. The rain continues. The library waits. The fire has burned to embers, the warmth of the moment lingering like a quiet song. The rain outside continues its gentle fall, each drop a whisper, each breeze a sigh. The librarian, standing beside you, watches with a smile that is both knowing and kind. The shelves around you hold stories that will never fade, for as long as there is rain, there will be memories. You've heard the stories you needed, she says, her voice like the soft rustling of leaves. The rain will carry them with you, always. She takes a step back, and the shadows of the library begin to lengthen, melding with the night. The soft glow of the jars fades, the stories settling into the spaces between the raindrops. The door creaks open, but the storm outside feels far away now, as if the world has shifted and slowed. You rise, feeling the weight of rest in your limbs, the quiet peace of knowing that no matter where you go, the library will always be here, waiting for your return. The librarian bows her head, and with one last glance, she fades into the mist of the storm. And as you step out of the library of raindrops, the world feels softer somehow, calmer, quieter. The rain, now a familiar companion, taps a rhythm at your back. And the stories, they will always be waiting for you, in every drop. Good night, dreamer. Sleep well and remember, the rain will always be here. If this story helped you unwind, I'd love for you to join our community. Hit like to let me know you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you'd like more journeys like this. Your support helps this channel grow, so we can all find peace together. Thank you for letting me guide you tonight. Where should we go next? A castle in the clouds? A river of starlight? Let me know in the comments. Sleep well, dreamers. And remember, the rain is always here, ready to tell you another story. Good night.